And welcome to this Dialogue Web Extra. I'm Marcia Franklin, and I'm here with a passel of guests, if that's the right word, to talk about wolf delisting. They've kindly agreed to stay after the show to take some more phone calls, so let's go right to the phone lines. Ryan in Boise. Ryan, go ahead, please.
Hi. What I feel is like that the wolves aren't decimating elk herds. What's making elk herd decline is the hunters take out the strong, leaving weak to breed, which means more weak elk for the wolf to kill. So it's the hunters who are making the elk decline, not the wolf. And I'm wondering why you guys can't comprehend that and understand that, and you have to go by anti-wolf science and, you know, just mythical facts that aren't true.
Okay. Well, stay on the line. That hunters are doing more damage to the elk herds than wolves are.
Well, we can carefully manage hunters. I think that's.
Can you? What about poachers? We have an email from a woman who says she feels like poachers may be causing a lot of the problem.
Well, we certainly have some poaching problems, but it's, from our studies, it's been a small part of the overall mortality of your average elk herd, you know.
But clearly hunters take more elk than wolf do, is that
yes,
right?
Yeah.
How many?
I would guess so, yeah.
How many per year, Jim? How many average elk per year?
Harvest?
Yeah.
Oh, I think the highest we've had is about 24,000, and now we're down to, this year, I think more in the 18,000 range. So
okay.
We are down considerably.
But you don't think poaching is a high, the reason I'm asking is there was that when I worked for a Fish and Game as part of the Central Idaho Wolf Working Group, the officer that was working then told us that poaching was accounted for at least half of the mortality of hunting, and so.
I don't think that's right. That certainly doesn't match
Really?
up with my own experience as an elk researcher. 10–15% is more.
Really? Okay.
I think, and not even that in all areas. It really depends. You don't get much poaching in the backcountry because it's hard to get to it. So
right.
You see poaching in roaded country next to town. It can be pretty high rates there, but most of Idaho is pretty difficult to access. Poachers are people that do things because it's easy, and
Gotcha.
you know, they don't work hard for what they're doing.
Poachers are stealing from everyone. You know, I don't think it's like Jim said, it's not an issue in the backcountry.
Ryan, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I appreciate, you know, Suzanne Stone and, of course, the wolf introduction. Heck, out of his name, I've forgotten him. But, you know, I know it's a big issue, and my concern is just Fish and Game have strings attached, and those hierarchy sportsmen, and I feel it's just, you know, scientists are getting paid to make up lies by going by what the sportsmen say, and it's actually more Americans actually support the wolf, and there's only 5%, and it's a small minority that just, you know, it's just, you know.
Okay, thank you very much. I think what I hear him saying is that public opinion, he's saying nationally, is for the wolf. Is that true? I mean, I know you got letters from all over the world on this issue.
If you look at the
well,
polling,
the public
actually,
opinion
yeah.
that I hear and work with every day, not all of them are against wolves. Lots of them are against wolves, but people would like to see them managed. That's the biggest thing. Okay,
let's take a call from Rick in Athol. Rick, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
I'm a hunter and a trapper, and my question is, there's been a lot of wolf predation on hunting dogs. I do not hunt my dogs, but I know of several people that have had their dogs killed by wolves. And is there any actions being taken by the government to facilitate these people on a reimbursement program? Or
if you lose your hunting dog, can you get reimbursed?
No.
If you lose your guard dog, can you get reimbursed? Yes. Right?
The guard dog,
yes. Livestock you can, but hunting dogs you cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Right now there is no compensation for loss of dog unless it's a herding dog.
Right.
Thank
not
you.
even on training programs?
Training programs meaning what?
When you're out training your dogs on on
No.
mountain lions?
No, I don't believe so. Only for livestock producers.
Only livestock.
Yes. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Let's take a call from Max in Rexburg. Max, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to say, to the guy that's the Fish and Game, I don't know what his name is.
Mr. Unsworth?
Yeah, I feel like the Fish and Game is doing an excellent job with the managing of elk and deer, but I feel like the wolf population is growing and they're breeding more and more, and they are killing off the elk and the deer. And granted, yeah, mountain lions are killing also, but the wolf population is killing a lot of our elk and deer.
Now, you're calling from Rexburg.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this question, Mr. Unsworth, because of this issue of genetic dispersal. Are you going to do less predation of wolves near where this gentleman lives, closer to Yellowstone? Are you going to leave more of them alone, say, as opposed to the Lolo, so that there can be that genetic interchange?
Well, part of our plan is to really pay close attention to all the border herds. I think we have 22 or 23 border herds with Montana, about 3 with Wyoming, and so we'll be careful on how we manage those.
So he may see more wolves because of that.
Possibly. We don't have real high concentrations of wolves in a lot of that part of the state. As you get into Yellowstone, there's definitely real high densities. But we're ready to manage wolves. I think we'll do a good job. One thing people forget is just in the early 70s, mountain lions and bears were classified as predators, and people didn't need a tag to shoot them. And people trapped them, did almost whatever you wanted to. Well, since the early 70s, we've managed bears and lions as big game animals. They've flourished, and actually the people that really care about bears and lions are the bear and lion hunters. I mean, they're the first ones we hear from if we've gone a little too far on harvest. And I think that eventually we could have the same kind of a hunting contingent supported of wolves.
Right.
And so I think it'll be a real interesting thing to hunt, and I think a lot of you guys will enjoy hunting wolves when you have that opportunity. It's a really amazing trophy, and they are a pretty amazing animal.
Now, you don't eat them, so the
Right.
lure in hunting them would be.
I think the trophy value of the pelt and skull, and then I suppose some people could hunt them or could eat them. People eat mountain lions and bears. So.
Okay.
Hey, what my deal is like the elk, you can tell that they quit bugling because they've got smart, because when they're bugling,
Dogs in China.
I was going to say the same thing.
when they're bugling, the elk will.
Wolves are dogs
quit.
are wolves.
They'll quit bugling because of
Okay.
the wolves.
So they're harder to find because they're not bugling.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I think there's been some changes in behavior, certainly
Yes.
some changes in habitat use. Elk are using more timber and rougher terrain now than they did in the past. So
Right.
it's made them more difficult to hunt.
like up in Kelly.
Okay, we gotta go. I'm sorry, we have to keep going. Thank you for calling. That was a nice conversation.
Up in Kelly Canyon.
Thank you. Okay, Rex in Lowman. Rex, go ahead, please. Rex,
Oh, I think I'm still here.
you are. I'm sorry. Go on.
I have a question, and then I'd like to leave enough time for just a comment that might elicit a little more. I've lived in Winter Range for 20-some years now, and I walk. I'm in the country all the time. First, I want to applaud the Fish and Game for their science-based study that they're doing on the health of the elk herd. The recent report said 1 calf per 75 cows. Their last count they did was almost 33 calves per 100 cows. And they're only documenting a little less than a 20% loss of the elk herd. I call that fuzzy math.
If you're up by Lowman, we are having some problems there in the sawtooth zone. We are seeing more wolf mortality than we'd like to. And we're actually rolling back our hunting seasons, which is the only tool we have right now to deal with that. So you're going to have some shorter or fewer elk permits in that area for next year. So
that full-time outfitter in that particular area has seen his family business decrease by 50% over the last couple of years.
I have an email from JD in Lowman. He says, we need an elk refuge area like Jackson Hole. where 75 elk can be coddled nearly free of predators during the intense winter months, and wolves remain in deep snow to starve and to close her balance. Wolves do not both migrate and protect their boundaries, and therefore would be naturally thinned with no available winter elk. The idea of an elk refuge in Idaho?
Well, I don't really think it's doable, and I don't think we want to get into a major feeding operation like they have over there. That's part of the problem we have in Sun Valley, is there's some feeding of elk, and so that's concentrated elk, and of course the wolves are clever and let's pursued them down there.
Let's show that video. We've got video of elk in Sun Valley. This was taken by a gentleman out of Bellevue named Matt Douthat, and he took some video of wolves tracking down some elk, and he feels, he wrote in to say that this video shows it's time to start managing wolves in Idaho. The wolves aren't coming to town because private homeowners are feeding elk. They're coming into town because there's too many wolves, and the elk have no place to go because we've built houses in the rest of their winter range. He says he's watched this pack for 7 days, and they've killed 6 yearling elk and 1 mule deer. These wolves will continue to return to our town until we start controlling their numbers. Hazing them is only a temporary fix.
They actually were feeding elk up there, and it wasn't just wolves that came in. There was a mountain lion up there that was feeding off of the elk there as well. But you know, we've got to get to the point of recognizing that wolves do prey on elk. They do prey on deer. They're meant to. They have co-evolved that way, and so do mountain lions and black bears and the other predators that we have in the state. We have, as I said, 33,000 mountain lions. We have 20,000 black bears, 50,000 coyotes here in the state. So you know, it's not like we actually live in an area where we have abundant elk and deer populations. We also have abundant predator populations, and that predator-prey relationship is a really important one to keep in balance.
Mr. Faulkner, you live in this area, I mean you work in this area. Are you willing to continue coexisting wolves in the same manner that you have?
I'm not sure what your question was.
I'm talking to John Faulkner for a second here.
Yes and no. Like I say, I like to be left alone. And it's going to take a lot of help to continue on with what we're doing. And how long we can afford to do that, or the wilderness or wildlife people would be able to help, I don't know, or the state in that type of deal.
So you're pessimistic or optimistic?
Well, I'm an optimist as far as that goes, or I wouldn't be in the business.
Okay.
That's so true.
Well, let's take our last call here from Anthony, way up in Spirit Lake. Anthony, go ahead, please.
Okay, my question is, I know of several elk that were kicked in the Panhandle, left to lay by the wolves. Do you consider that a problem? Do they do that with the animals too?
Yeah, you're cutting out. So basically, you're saying that the wolves killed the elk and then just left them there?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Do you consider, are a lot of wolves wasting elk? Is that the
I have a comment to make on that, because it's come up on my blog many times. You know, wolves generally can't consume what they've killed in just one feeding, so they'll oftentimes just eat a little bit, and then they'll go off and sleep, and they'll come back several times. If somebody comes in the middle of it and they find these elk carcasses, they'll say, oh, well, they must have killed these elk and just gone away. And when I was growing up, I always learned that if you found a carcass in the woods, you should look around for the bear or something else and not just assume it had been abandoned. Mm-hmm. Wolves pretty much eat all of what they kill unless they're driven off.
Okay. I disagree with that. I've personally seen it happen in the Little Smoky area. One wolf had a color on him. He was a black wolf. He came in and he killed 19 head of lambs selected in about a 60-acre spot. Never ate a bit of them.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Lambs are different than, of course, than elk. And you may
well damn right I'm right.
I think you do see surplus killing once in a while. I don't think it happens very often. I think where you see it is in a situation where you might have real deep snow or something that the deer or elk can't move in, but the wolves can. So you do get some surplus killing. But I think in general, it's a fairly rare thing.
Okay, thanks for your call. Finally, Ann in Athol wants to know, if Idaho Fish and Game goes through with their current plan, I can see a boycott of Idaho tourism and products happening. It happened to Alaska in protest of their aerial hunting of wolves. Is that a potential, you think?
I don't know. You know, what we're trying to focus on is resolving the conflicts and moving forward, and hopefully we'll do it in a constructive way. We'll be able to bring, you know, the stakeholders together to do that. And you know, we've spent so much time, decades, fighting over wolf issues, that I really hope that people are willing to try it a different way.
And if a wolf hunting season does happen, could you see a scenario where environment and conservation groups try to buy up the tags?
I haven't investigated that scenario, so.
Well, the way we're going to offer the season, they could buy as many tags as they want to. We're going to manage with a quota, and we could sell a few tags right now. So.
Yeah, it's a little concerning because, you know, I think you mentioned selling like 10,000 wolf tags, and we have less than 1,000 wolves out there. And I understand that, you know, when you're selling bear tags, that you're selling them by 10,000 or so per year. So I'm a little worried that, you know, that many tags out there could really have a dent on the wolf population in a very quick way. And you know, beyond that, it's not just hunting. You know, it's the idea of going in and killing packs of wolves, even ones that aren't involved in livestock depredations, but ones that are, just wiping them out during the wintertime when they're more vulnerable. There's a lot of different ways to kill wolves. I mean, certainly we've proven as a society that that if we're determined to kill wolves, we can actually wipe out the last one. So hopefully we go forward with a better wolf management plan and more reasonable. If we manage wolves like we do other wildlife, we might be able to achieve delisting and get support around the table for it.
Well, we have some checks for that, Suzanne. We're going to manage wolves with quotas under on individual big game units. So we might have a quota of 20 animals. There may be 60 animals out in that unit. So as soon as we hit 20, we'll close the season for that area. So there's lots of checks and balances in our system. It's a system we worked with bears and lions for years, and that's what we're talking about when we're saying manage similar to bears and lions. Some of the same protections, some of the same management techniques in terms of aging and mandatory check. We've done a good job with them, and we'll do a good job with wolves.
Jim, don't you think when you first start the hunting season, if we do have one, they will get a few wolves, because the wolves aren't afraid of man at all.
Right.
And just like those coming into Haley and Ketchum area, they're prime targets because they're not afraid. Yeah. But the time they get afraid of man, why, you're not going to wipe the wolves out. They're going to be just like coyotes.
That's right. And you know, we have some folks on our staff that have worked in Alaska, and they know a lot about wolves and wolf hunting, and they're very smart animal, very intelligent animal. After the first year or two, we won't be harvesting very many. I don't know what our success rates will be. We'll learn as we go, but that's why we've set it up how we have, to make sure we have a check there. We're not going to go too far. And the other thing you have to remember in Idaho is we have 3.2 million acres of wilderness with little or no access. There'll be wolves live and die and never see a human being because of it's just such tough, rugged country. I mean, get in a plane and fly from here to Salmon, and anyone can see there's going to be a lot of areas where wolves are never going to be hunted. So I'm not worried about us pushing wolves near extinction. I don't think we'll even, quite honestly, I don't think we'll hit 500 over the long term. I really don't. I think that they're eventually going to be less and less vulnerable. The first year or two, we will take a few. And in that open country, Copper Basin country and stuff, guys will take some wolves. But you get in the timber, they'll be gone that quick. So.
And after the first couple of years, we'll need all the tools on the tool shelf to manage wolves properly.
Final word.
Well, I just, you know, if it was just up to Fish and Game, I think that we could work with Fish and Game. But I've seen the Idaho State Legislature do some pretty weird things with wolves, and very emotional, very driven by misinformation. And if it's a knee-jerk reaction and the Fish and Game has the marching orders from the state legislature that they kill everything but 150 wolves, that's what the plan says. And
we
so,
I'd say amen to that, and I've tried to emphasize that all evening, that Idaho Fish and Game is politically weak, and that state legislators, oftentimes who have a strong conflict of interest, are extremely powerful, and that's why I wanted to talk about bighorn sheep, and I would have liked to talk about the demotion of Dave Parrish as well.
Well, this is not an issue that is going to go away. We here at Idaho Public Television cover the Idaho legislature, and we cover these natural resource issues, so we will be back to take a look at this issue as it proceeds. I appreciate all of you being here for the program and also for the Web Extra. If you'd like to see the full program, please go to our website at idahoptv.org. This has been a Web Extra for Dialogue on the delisting of the wolf in Idaho, and we hope you'll join us the same time next week.
Thanks.